Tyler jumped into the mud, hauling a tablet toward a shiny GPS spreader worth more than their house. 3 months later, that same machine would push their soybeans to record prices and put his name in every local paper. And it all began with one strange patch of field on a blurry satellite image no one could explain. The machine idled in the middle of the yard, humming like a jet engine, its paint so clean it looked stolen. His father stood on the porch, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. "What is that?" he asked, though the tone suggested he didn't care for the answer. Tyler ignored him and started pulling cables from the trailer, fingers numb from the cold drizzle. The clock was already ticking. He had 7 days with this thing, no contract, no payment, no permission from anyone, before it had to go back. The patch. That was all that mattered. A rectangular section of their east field that looked wrong. It wasn't dead, exactly, but something in the color data made him stop scrolling at 2:14 a.m. weeks ago. Since then, it had been the only thing on his mind. The spreader's control screen blinked awake. Tyler's reflection stared back at him, tired eyes, muddy hair, an expression halfway between panic and obsession. He tapped in the coordinates. The display lit up with topography lines and tiny red markers. From the porch, his father called out again. "We don't have time for experiments. You know what's coming if we miss planting." Tyler didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded map, printed from the drone flight he'd run in secret last weekend. Moisture readings, soil compaction, nitrogen levels. All pointing to that same section. He still hadn't told anyone what he suspected. Not his father, not Mason, not even himself out loud. It was too absurd, too risky. If he was wrong, this would be another in a long list of half-baked ideas that cost time and money they didn't have. The spreader's engine roared as Tyler pushed the throttle. Mud splattered across his boots. He steered it toward the east field, past the old fence line, toward that patch that had been haunting him for weeks. Rain picked up, streaking the tablet's screen. Warnings flashed, slippery terrain, low visibility, but he swiped them away. From behind, his father's voice came one last time, sharp and loud over the rain, "If this goes wrong, we're finished." Tyler didn't look back. The spreader rolled onto the first row, the GPS lock tone pinging like a countdown to something neither of them could yet name. The GPS spreader crawled forward, its tires sinking deep into the softened ground. Tyler's hands gripped the controls tighter with every bump. On the tablet screen, the green guidance lines shimmered, shifting as the system adjusted to the terrain. A soft chime told him they'd reached the target zone. Tyler glanced up. To anyone else, this patch looked no different from the rest of the field. But he knew better. He'd studied it for weeks, memorizing every uneven contour from the drone footage. He activated the variable rate system. The spreader's arms swung open, releasing a fine mist of nutrient mix, calculated to the gram. Tyler watched the numbers dance on the display, nitrogen here, phosphorus there, adjusting every few meters. Halfway through the first pass, the tablet flickered. A red error popped up, signal loss, GPS drift detected. Tyler frowned. The connection to the satellites was unstable. It shouldn't be, the sky was open above him. He tapped the override, forcing the system to keep going. Static crackled in his earpiece, Mason's voice, low and urgent. "Ty, I'm seeing interference on the live feed. Like, someone's jamming it." Tyler scanned the empty horizon. No trucks, no towers, no reason for interference. "Keep monitoring," he muttered. As he moved deeper into the patch, the readings changed again. The nutrient levels spiked in odd patterns, like the soil was holding something it shouldn't. He saved the data, marking it for later. A dark shape appeared at the edge of the field, his father's pickup. The engine idled while the old man sat behind the wheel, watching. Tyler could feel the judgment from here. He kept his eyes on the work, refusing to meet that gaze. By the third pass, the system started logging anomalies, inconsistent soil conductivity, sudden drops in moisture levels, even though it had rained all night. The machine slowed automatically, sensors recalibrating, and the tablet displayed a new warning: unknown material detected. Tyler's stomach tightened. He checked the coordinates, still inside the patch. He thought of shutting the system down, but instead he pushed it harder, increasing the spread rate to see how the readings reacted. The numbers spiked again, wilder this time. Mason's voice came back, tense. "Ty, you need to send me that data right now. I've never seen a signature like this." Before he could reply, the GPS feed cut completely. The spreader lurched, its automatic guidance gone. Tyler wrestled it back on course manually, mud spraying in wide arcs. The tablet rebooted, lines of code flashing across the screen before the interface returned. At the edge of the field, his father finally stepped out of the truck. He didn't yell. Didn't wave. Just stood there, arms at his sides, as if bracing for whatever came next. Tyler kept going until the hopper ran empty. Only then did he stop, engine idling, rain pattering against the metal. On the screen, the final soil map rendered, and the patch lit up in a deep crimson shade he'd never seen in any analysis chart before. Tyler killed the spreader's engine and sat in the sudden silence, staring at the crimson patch glowing on the tablet screen. Rainwater dripped from the brim of his cap, pooling on the glass. He saved the file twice, then backed it up to a flash drive he kept in a waterproof pouch. His father's boots squelched through the mud. "What am I looking at?" the older man asked, nodding at the tablet. "Data," Tyler replied, too quickly. "What kind of data?" Tyler slid the tablet into its case. "The kind we need to fix this field." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. Before his father could press further, the distant rumble of engines cut through the rain. Tyler turned toward the road and saw two dark SUVs crawling up the gravel drive. No farm logos. No plates he recognized. The vehicles stopped near the fence. Three men stepped out, all in identical black rain jackets, the kind that didn't come from the local feed store. One of them carried a hard case, the other a tripod. Without a word, they began setting up some sort of scanner aimed toward the field. "Friends of yours?" his father muttered. "No." Tyler's phone buzzed in his pocket. "Mason." He answered without greeting. "Ty, shut it down. Now." "It's already off," Tyler said, eyes fixed on the strangers. "Who are they?" "I don't know, but they just pinged our server 3 times in the last 5 minutes. Encrypted traffic. Not amateur stuff." One of the men looked up and locked eyes with Tyler from across the distance. He didn't wave. Didn't even blink. Just turned back to the tripod and adjusted the scanner. Tyler grabbed the flash drive and shoved it deeper into his jacket. He had the raw data. Whatever happened next, he needed to keep it safe. His father's patience snapped. "I'm going to find out who they are." "Don't," Tyler said sharply. "Let me handle it." The men finished whatever they were doing, packed up in the same slow, deliberate manner, and drove away without stepping onto the property. No words. No papers. Just gone. The rain eased, leaving behind a strange stillness. Tyler climbed back onto the spreader and drove it toward the shed, every instinct telling him to hide it. Inside, he connected the tablet to his laptop and began cross-referencing the anomaly data with past seasons. There was nothing like it. No pattern. No precedent. Mason's voice crackled through again, hushed this time. "Ty, if that reading is real, you need to understand something. It's not just about soybeans anymore." Tyler leaned back in the chair, eyes on the crimson patch still burned into his mind. Outside, the last of the daylight drained from the sky. And for the first time since he'd spotted that satellite image, he wondered if he'd made a mistake touching that field at all. The shed smelled of diesel and wet earth. Tyler shut the doors tight before pulling up the farm's accounting sheet. The numbers hit like a fist: seed loans, machinery payments, overdue invoices from suppliers. The bank's warning email from last week still sat in his inbox, bold and unread. His father had been avoiding the topic, but Tyler knew they were weeks away from default. That crimson patch might be the only leverage they had, even if he still didn't understand what it meant. Mason called again, voice clipped. "Listen, I ran the anomaly through every model we've got. It doesn't match anything in our agricultural database. But the spectrum signature, it's attracting attention." "From who?" Pause. "Not sure. But one of our servers was hit with a data request from a federal domain an hour ago." Tyler's pulse quickened. "You think it's about the patch?" "I think they know you found something." Before Tyler could answer, the shed door rattled. His father. "We need to talk," he said, stepping in with rain still dripping from his jacket. Bank called again. "They're done waiting." Tyler closed the laptop. "I'm working on it." "Working on what?" "That machine? That field?" "You can't pay bills with ideas." "I can if the idea works," Tyler shot back, heat rising in his voice. "But I need time." "Time's up," his father said flatly. That night, Tyler sat at the kitchen table long after the house went dark. The flash drive lay in front of him, its metal casing cold under his thumb. He thought about the SUVs, the scanner, the unreadable expressions of those men. And about the fact that the yield boost from fixing that patch, if it even happened, wouldn't arrive until harvest months from now. He needed cash now. At 1:37 a.m., he plugged the flash drive into his laptop and encrypted the files. Then he opened a message thread to Mason. "You still know anyone who buys early-stage AG data?" "That's dangerous," Mason replied almost instantly. "Especially if you don't know what you're selling." "I don't care," Tyler typed. "Find someone. Just make sure they pay fast." The reply took longer this time. "Okay. I might know a buyer. But if you go through with this, there's no undoing it." Tyler stared at the blinking cursor. He pictured the foreclosure notice, the farm auction signs, the way his father would look at him if they lost everything. "Set it up," he wrote. Somewhere outside, a lone truck engine growled down the road before fading into the night. The meeting wasn't at an office. It wasn't even in town. Mason's contact had chosen an old grain elevator 30 miles west, long abandoned, its rusted silos towering over the empty lot. Tyler pulled up in his pickup just before sunset. The sky burned orange, the wind slicing through the gaps in the corrugated metal walls. A black sedan was already there, engine running, 2 figures inside. The driver stepped out first, tall, wearing a coat too clean for this place. No handshake, no smile. "You're Tyler," he said, as if it were a statement, not a question. "Who's asking?" The man nodded toward the passenger side. A woman emerged, carrying a slim case. Her eyes flicked over Tyler once, then to the pickup bed. "You brought it?" she asked. Tyler tapped his jacket pocket where the flash drive rested. "I want to know what it's worth before you see it." She smiled faintly. "That depends on whether it's what we think it is." They moved inside the elevator's main structure. Dust motes floated in the fading light. The woman set her case on a broken pallet, flipped it open. Inside, a rugged laptop and a satellite modem. "Plug it in," she said. Tyler hesitated. "First, the number." The man's gaze hardened. "The number depends on the data. You're burning daylight." Against his better judgment, Tyler slid the drive across the pallet. The woman connected it, her fingers moving fast over the keyboard. Lines of code scrolled by, her face lit in cold blue. After less than a minute, she stopped. Looked at him. Where did you get this? It's my field, Tyler said carefully. Her eyes narrowed. You have no idea what this is, do you? I know it's not normal soil data. She closed the laptop, almost too quickly. We can make an offer. But if you accept, you don't ask questions, you don't keep copies, and you never talk about this patch of land again. Ever. How much? She wrote a number on a scrap of paper. Tyler stared at it, enough to pay off the seed loans, maybe even get ahead for the first time in years. Before he could answer, a noise outside made them all freeze, the sound of tires crunching over gravel. Headlights swept through the cracked walls, brighter and closer than they should have been. The man shut the case. We're done here. They were out the door before Tyler could stop them, the sedan speeding away just as another pair of SUVs rolled into the lot. Tyler's pulse pounded. Same model. Same black jackets. The same unreadable faces. And they were looking directly at him. The SUVs stopped 10 feet from his truck, engines rumbling low. Rain from earlier had left the lot slick, reflecting their headlights like pools of fire. Two men stepped out, same black jackets, same calm, deliberate movements. One stood by the hood, the other walked toward Tyler, boots crunching on gravel. You're Tyler Haynes, the man said. Not a question. Tyler didn't answer. His hand rested casually on the open truck door, though every muscle in his arm was coiled tight. You've been working in the East Field, the man continued. We'd like to ask you a few questions. About soybeans? Tyler said flatly. The man almost smiled. About the data you collected. Tyler's mind raced. Mason's warning, the SUVs at the fence line, the scanner. If they knew about the data, they might know about the meeting he'd just had. I don't have anything for you, Tyler said. The man's eyes flicked to the jacket pocket where the flash drive had been moments ago. Are you sure about that? A door slammed, the second man had moved to block Tyler's truck. You can either talk to us here, the first man said, or we can do this somewhere less public. Tyler glanced at the rusted elevator. Isolated. Empty. No one would hear anything. He forced his voice steady. If you have questions, talk to my father. It's his farm. We already have, the man said. That landed like a punch. What? Mr. Haynes was cooperative, the man added, as if it were a courtesy. A horn blared from the highway, distant but enough to break the tension. Tyler seized the moment, yanking his door open and climbing into the cab. The man didn't stop him. Just stepped back, eyes locked on Tyler's until the truck roared to life. He didn't breathe until the elevator was a shrinking shadow in the rearview mirror. His phone buzzed. Mason. Tell me you didn't hand it over, Mason said without preamble. I didn't, Tyler lied. But they know everything. Silence on the line, then, Ty, if they've talked to your father, you need to get ready. Things are going to move fast now. The farmhouse porch light was on when he pulled in. His father sat in the old chair, staring at nothing. What did you tell them? Tyler asked. His father didn't answer right away. They asked about the patch. Wanted to know how long we'd been farming it, who owned it before us. I told them the truth, I didn't know much. Tyler's chest tightened. And then? They said if you found anything unusual, you should stop digging. His father's gaze finally met his. And they weren't talking about soybeans. Sleep never came that night. Tyler sat at the kitchen table, the flash drive in front of him like a live wire. Every time he reached for it, he pictured the SUVs, the scanner, the cold certainty in those men's eyes. At 5:12 a.m. Mason called. No greeting. Buyers getting nervous. They want the data today, or they walk. Tyler rubbed his temples. And if I deliver? They pay you. Enough to keep the farm afloat. But if those guys in the SUVs are who I think they are, they won't just walk away. What are you saying, Mason? I'm saying you might not get a second chance to decide who you're more afraid of. Before Tyler could answer, the sound of tires on gravel cut through the morning quiet. He looked out the window, not black SUVs this time, but the same black sedan from the grain elevator. The woman stepped out, carrying the slim case. His father came into the kitchen, pulling on his boots. Who's that? Stay inside, Tyler said. He met her on the porch. You didn't give us an answer, she said. I'm here to make sure you do. I told you, I need time. You don't have time, she replied. We're not the only ones interested. Her eyes flicked toward the driveway, as if she expected company. If you hand that data to the wrong people, you'll regret it. And if I hand it to you? You'll regret it less. She turned to leave, but paused. You have until sundown. After that, our offer disappears. The sedan pulled away, its taillights shrinking into the gray dawn. Tyler's phone buzzed again. Mason. Well? They want it by sundown, Tyler said. So does the buyer, Mason replied. You can't keep both happy. The rest of the day moved like a storm front, dark clouds building, pressure dropping. Tyler tried working in the shop, but every noise made him look toward the road. At 3 p.m., a text from Mason, final chance. Meet me at the grain bins. By 3:45, Tyler was there, flash drive in his pocket, hands shaking. Mason's truck was parked beside the bins, engine running. You sure? Mason asked. No, Tyler said. But I'm out of options. He handed over the drive. Mason slid it into a padded envelope, sealed it, and tucked it into his jacket. You didn't get this from me, Mason said. The wind picked up, rattling the bin walls. Tyler turned toward his truck, and froze. Two black SUVs were parked on the far side of the lot. Watching. The wind howled through the empty lot as the two SUVs rolled forward, cutting off the exit. Doors opened in unison, 4 men, black jackets, same unreadable faces. Mason stiffened beside Tyler. Get in the truck, he murmured. The lead man stopped 10 feet away. You have something that belongs to us. Tyler kept his voice even. It's my field. My data. Not anymore. The man's eyes flicked toward Mason's jacket, where the padded envelope was hidden. Hand it over. Mason shifted his stance. You don't want to do this here. One of the other men stepped forward, resting a hand on something under his coat. Not a threat, not yet, but close enough. Tyler's pulse hammered in his ears. He scanned the lot, no cover, no way out except through them. The man repeated, slower this time. The drive. Now. Before Mason could move, a low growl of an engine came from behind. A black sedan pulled into view, the woman from earlier stepping out with her slim case. She didn't look at Tyler. Her focus was on the lead man from the SUVs. You're out of your jurisdiction, she said. He smirked. So are you. For a long moment, no one moved. The wind carried the metallic rattle of the grain bins, the smell of diesel hanging heavy in the cold air. The woman took a single step closer. We both know what's on that drive. But only one of us knows how to use it. The lead man's expression didn't change, but his hand twitched, a signal. The two men behind him began to spread out, closing the circle. Mason leaned toward Tyler, whispering, if you're going to choose, you need to do it now. Tyler's throat felt dry. He reached into his jacket, fingers brushing the envelope. The woman's eyes flicked to him, sharp and expectant. The lead man's gaze burned just as hard. Somewhere deep inside, Tyler knew whichever hand he extended would decide more than just the fate of the farm. The wind roared, the bins groaned, and Tyler moved. Tyler stepped forward, the envelope in his hand. Both the woman and the lead man tensed, waiting. He looked from one to the other, his breath slow but his mind racing. Then, in a move that neither expected, he tore the envelope in half, yanked the flash drive free, and shoved it deep into his own jacket. "This is mine," he said. "If you want it, you deal with me, on my terms." The woman's expression hardened. "You don't know what you're holding." The lead man took a step closer. "You don't know what it's worth." Tyler's voice rose over the wind. "I know exactly what it's worth to me. It's the only thing standing between my family and losing everything." Silence. Only the creak of the bins and the hiss of the wind. Finally, the woman spoke. "You won't make it through the night with that in your pocket." "Then you'd better decide who's going to stop me," Tyler said. For a moment, it looked like they might. But instead, the lead man gave a short, sharp nod. Both sides backed toward their vehicles, never turning their backs. Within minutes, the lot was empty again, except for Tyler and Mason. Mason shook his head. "You just made yourself a target for two groups who don't like losing." Tyler looked down at the drive in his hand. "Then I'd better make it count." 2 weeks later, the crimson patch in the east field yielded a crop unlike anything they'd seen, soybeans with nutrient profiles off the charts, drawing interest from biotech companies, food labs, even government agencies. He never sold the raw data. Instead, he patented the process that treated that soil, built quietly on the findings, and reinvested every dollar into securing the farm. The offers kept coming, each bigger than the last, but Tyler chose his buyers carefully, always keeping the source a secret. The SUVs never came back. Neither did the woman in the sedan. But sometimes, late at night, headlights would slow on the road outside the farmhouse, linger a little too long, then disappear into the dark. 3 years later, the farm was debt-free, profitable, and running entirely on the precision systems Tyler had once been mocked for. The East Field was still his most valuable asset, and still, no one else knew why that patch had glowed crimson on his screen that rainy morning. His father never asked. And Tyler never told.